So today I'm going to be going over my Discord bot and how it works. I have it split up into the setup, events, commands, and functions at the bottom. Alright, and so first for the setup, you're just going to need to import these libraries of Discord commands from discord.ext, time, async.io, random, request, beautiful soup from BS4, JSON, OS, and datetime from datetime. Alright, and so next you're going to get your directory. So mine is going to be C, users, my Windows login, desktop, Discord. Git is where this file is currently stored, and so I would just paste that right here. And that's all. And we just need that to run our JSON so it knows where to find those files at. So next we need to get our URL for the soup if you're web scraping. For me, I was pulling from Worldometer to get COVID cases for a function later down. And so for user agent, you just Google my agent or my user agent in Chrome, Firefox, and just paste that in there. And then for the setup for Discord, it's basic stuff. Client equals discord.client, and then bot is equal to commands.bot. Command prefix is set to period. Alright, so first I'm going to go over the events. And so when the bot is on ready, because I just have on ready, it sets a custom activity. So for instance, my current custom activity is solitaire and listening for summonings, but you can set it to whatever you want right here. And then print bot is ready, which we can see over here. Alright, so next I'm actually going to skip commands right now and go over the functions because that helps it make a bit more sense later on. So first we have open account, and that takes in the parameter of user. So users, we await get score data, which is right here, but all that does is it opens up score.json as read and returns users. But we get that, and then we see that if string the user ID, so whoever wrote the message is in users, we return false. But if they're not in users, then we make them an account, basically adding their ID, giving them wins, losses, ties, correct answers, and setting that all to 0, and then writing that all to score.json and dumping it. Alright, and as I said, this one just opens up score.json as read and then returns the users. So next, actually add correct right here, and then add loss, add win, and add tie are all about the same. So I'm just going to go over add correct. So essentially what it does, it awaits open account, passing through ctx.author, awaits get score data, and it gets the users, and then our user is going to be set to ctx.author, and then we take our number of correct and set that equal to users string of the ID, correct answers, and set that equal to this over here. And then it just dumps it. Alright. And next we have Trinity, which all this does is it takes in the number passed through and rounds it up to 2 decimal places. Right, and then again, all of these are about the same, just with different tags in the JSON. Alright, so next we have our commands. Our first command is the ping command. And so when you type in .ping, it says pong, ping pong, and then it gets the latency times 1,000, rounds it, and then turns it to milliseconds. And so if we come over here, we can see what this looks like right here. I typed in .ping, and it responded with my ping. Alright, next we have 8-ball, and so this can be typed in as either .8ball or ._8ball. And when you do this one, you're passing through your question. And so what this does is it pulls a random option from this list responses over here and responds with it while also saying what your question was. So it looks like, let me find. So for instance, I typed up here, .8ball, is today going to be a good day? And responded with question, is today going to be a good day? Answer, maybe. And it got that maybe from this list. Alright. So next command is .rps, and that just stands for rock, paper, scissors. So what this does is it makes a random choice from this list of rock, paper, and scissors, and it responds with a random choice from that list. Or it doesn't respond, I'm sorry, it just chooses. And then it compares what your choice was to what their choice was. And so for instance, it says if they were equal, it'll send we both chose that choice, and then it adds a tie, which we saw down below. If they chose rock and you chose scissors, you lose, and it says what you chose, what they chose, and then you lose, and then it adds a loss, and then vice versa down here. And it does the same for all of them. Alright, so next is cases, and this is where that web scraping stuff from earlier comes into play. So from that link up here, it finds the div and class of main counter number and gets the text. So it'll look like, so type in .cases, US flag cases, and that's how many cases there are. And this is how the rock, paper, scissors looks. So we both chose rock, so it adds a tie. I chose scissors, they chose rock, and I lost. Alright. So next is exit, and you can get rid of this if you want. All this does is it closes the program by running the quit function. So next, I'm actually going to come to score last. But next we have is it, and this is where the time comes into play. And so it says now is equal to date time now dot time, and if that time is correct, it sends a white check mark. If it isn't, it just sends an X. And so next is trivia, and this is where our questions.json comes into play. So we have this whole list of questions where we can see that we have our question number 0, our question, and then our answers A and B. And so what this does is it chooses a random question from 0 to 15, which is what we have over here. And it keeps that as, an integer and also a string. And we'll see why we keep it as both an integer and a string in a second. So first what it does is it opens up questions.json and as quest.json or as quest, and then it just makes an embed with title, and then it finds, so we have questions, numbers, and then the number. And so when we make it a string, we can pass that string into here and pull that random question. Because they all have question and A and B, we just need to change this Y. And so that's why we keep it as a string. And then it says to react with A or B. And so when they answer, when someone reacts with the correct answer, and this is why we kept it as an integer. So if that integer is even, and they react with B, because all of the even answers, the answers are B, all the odd answers, the answers are A. And so if it's an even number, it sends correct, and then it adds a correct. And then if it's odd, it does the same thing for the answer A. So we can see, for instance, If you pick a random even, what year did the Vietnam War end? B, 1975. Question, which of these characters was not planned to be playable in Super Smash Bros. 64? The answer is Peach A, so you can kind of see. That way, you don't have to check for every single question. You can kind of just have all of the one letter, or all of the evens one letter and all the odds the other letter. And so we can see over here, it doesn't show the question number, so they will never know unless they get a list of what the answers are. But Aphrodite or Hera was the wife of Zeus. The answer is Hera, so I reacted with B and it passed through correct. Right. And so for this last one, dot meme. So you just say from it picks a random number from 0 to however many memes you have, and you so say you have 5 memes, then you would actually put 4, 6 memes, right? Yeah, whatever the highest name meme is, because what you want to do is you want to name your meme a number. So let's say you have like 0.jpg, 1.png, like that. And so what this will do is it'll pass through that number and look for that file name as a JPEG or a PNG. And you could do other file types, I'm sure. But for this, I'm just doing JPEG and PNG. And so I typed in .meme and it responded with the meme. Alright. And so last but not least is score. And so what this does is it waits for open account, sets CTX author, and users get score data. Just like we did with, I believe, rock, paper, scissors. Or it doesn't really matter, but we did this before, I believe, where we just get the account information, set the user, and then get the score data. And so what this does is it sets these variables to what they are, so it gets correct answers, ties, losses, and wins from score.json, and it sets it to those values, and then it passes through over here. But I did add a win-loss ratio, and so what this does right here is if losses is equal to 0, your average is going to be 0, because you can't divide by 0 because it's not a real number, and so Python will just throw an error. So if we just set it to 0, then we won't have any errors. But of course, if it's not 0, then we can still divide, and then it rounds to 2 decimal places. And then it passes through that and sends the embed, and that's what it looks like right here. So see, we have our wins, losses, ties, our ratio, and correct answers. Alright, so I hope that cleared everything up. Oh, of course, at the bottom, your key that you get from Discord for the bot. But other than that, of course, this is on GitHub. So if you need to see the code, get a better look at it, it's up there. Yeah, hope this helped.